Good morning, welcome to the garden. I wanted to give you an update on the window box, garden in a window box. We have all kinds of things in here. There is a pepper, which I think this is ripe, so I'm gonna pick this. A couple green peppers. So that is super fun. And then there is also a tomato. This is the Better Bush tomato. How beautiful is that? It looks so good. So I'm gonna have to find something to eat. And then let's see if we have any strawberries. There's one coming. Strawberries, yeah, but we've got some flowers, little petunias. The basil's not looking so good, but we do have some eggplants too. Can harvest these. They're a little smaller than they probably would be if they weren't in the window box. They're just like slightly stunted fruit, but actually I don't know because I haven't grown this variety before, so it may be that actually may be how big they are. I'll have to go back and see if I can find the tag, but a pretty good little harvest. And there's some oregano. I'm gonna grab some of that for dinner tonight. I'm gonna be making pasta, so I will put the eggplants and the oregano in the pasta. I'm actually going to go down to the garden below and get some basil as well, but I thought that was just fun and I wanted to show an update of this little garden in a window box. Even if you have just this much space, you can still have a little garden. So it's kind of fun to see what you're able to do in just this kind of spot. And I've got a couple more tomatoes coming. This one's just about ripe, but I'm going to let it fine ripen because we don't have any rain on the horizon, so I don't have to worry about it splitting. All right, so now we are down in the lower garden and I'm gonna harvest a couple things down here. So I want to get some of the basil, and then I'm actually gonna grab one of my like mystery peppers because I've been waiting until it turned red and I see that one of them is turning red, so I want to do a little taste test. And then I might actually harvest some of those and put them in. I'm making like a pasta tonight, and so I thought maybe just like a mild pepper would actually be really good in like a tomato sauce kind of pasta. The other night I made a creamy tomato pasta and I put in a bunch of zucchini and some of the eggplants, and I wanted to actually share that recipe, so I will put a link to the recipe. It was so good. It was one of those things where it just adds flavor, but it doesn't feel like very heavily vegetable-y, I guess. I kind of just shredded the eggplant and I shredded the zucchini and I cooked it down, and then I put in all the other sauce ingredients and ground beef and stuff, and so they just kind of melted away and just added to the flavor. So that's something I really like to do with all of the eggplants that I grow because I love growing eggplants. And a lot of times when I tell people I love growing eggplants, they say like, oh, but like how do you eat them? You know, everyone just thinks eggplant parmesan, but like what else can you do? And they're so good to add to ground beef, either for taco meat or for tomato sauce. So I will put a link. I'm starting to try to put more of the garden recipes that I make onto my website. Okay, so we're gonna grab the basil before I forget. I'm gonna grab some of this. This is just sweet basil, and this I actually got. I don't usually do started plants for basil, but I had such issues with my basil germinating this year. I don't know what was going on. Oh, I should have brought my clippers. Oh no, can I break it? Why is this happening? Okay, there we go. But I got started plants for it, and it has been growing really well in this area. And then we're gonna do some of this. This is the pesto perpetuo. I really should make a pesto here in the last weeks that we've got. I've got some good basil growing up in the green stalk as well, so there's probably room for me. I probably have enough that I could do some pesto, but this will be good for the tomato sauce. And now let's do the mystery pepper. Okay, I wanted this, so these were supposed to be, and these plants are absolutely loaded. We've got a bunch of the green peppers. These were supposed to be jalapenos. If you've been following along, they're a mystery. So here it is kind of turning red. I guess I could have let it go a little bit longer, but it was starting to split just a little bit. So I'm gonna go ahead and taste this. I'm just gonna take a little bite. That is not a jalapeno at all. I don't know if these seeds were labeled wrong or I made a mistake. I can't think of any peppers that I have in my seed collection that are like this. This is like a big red sweet pepper. It's actually really pretty good, you know? I might go ahead and try to save some seeds. I don't usually save seeds. I'm not a very good seed saver. I don't have a good track record of that in the past, but I'm gonna try to save some of these because I actually really like this. It's kind of a fun, just tastes like a red pepper basically, but it's cool shape. So I'm gonna let the rest of those just ripen on the plants and get to this red color. And I'm just gonna eat this for a snack. That was a fun experiment. Not a jalapeno, but it is a dwarf pepper. This is so interesting. I am not, like, total mystery. It's a dwarf pepper plant. I mean, it's only 2 feet tall or so. It's not very big. Yum. Okay, I'm gonna save seeds. We'll see if we can grow it again next year and create our own mystery pepper plant. And now I'm gonna see if I can find any other eggplants for the tomato sauce, because there's gotta be a few in here. And I probably should harvest some tomatoes, but I may wait till my daughter's been really loving harvesting tomatoes with me off the trellis. As I said, I don't need to worry about splitting because we do not have any rain in the forecast, which is really odd for us. We aren't usually that dry, so I don't know. It's going to be interesting keeping the container gardening or the container garden going at the end of the season with absolutely no rain. It's taking a lot of watering. There are a few Jimmy Nardello peppers in here, but I think I need to let those wait until they turn red as well. But here's one of my grow bags, and you can see some Jimmy Nardello peppers in there. We'll let those ripen. Here's an eggplant, fairy tale eggplant. And then these are the millionaire eggplants. These are the ones that are covered with ants. I think maybe there's an eggplant in there I should harvest. The question is, look at these ants. There's some sort of aphids or something underneath here. Ooh. I think it's time to probably pull this plant out. All right, so it's the next day. We had a lovely dinner last night. The eggplant was so good. Today I wanted to come out and take out the eggplants that are covered with the ants. I kind of slept on it overnight and I realized like I couldn't even really get in there to harvest any of those eggplants. So there's not really any point to have them. I don't know what's going on with the ants, but it's a lot. And I don't think I want like ants like that just living in my garden like that. And if I want to keep the zinnias going, it'll be nice to have a little bit more airflow in that bed. You can hear the cicadas. Those are cicadas. We have so much bug life going on. Actually, there was a cicada the other day over here on the patio pole. And before we take the eggplants out, I have to show you another crazy bug situation. I must see if it's still there. We had a parasitic wasp on one of the hornworms on the tomato arch. So it's a little gross, but I'm gonna see if I can find it and so I can show it to you. How wild is that looking? Isn't that an interesting thing? So the parasite wasp lays its eggs in the hornworm and then they sprout and hatch, I guess, and come out of the hornworm. But I've never actually seen that on a hornworm in my own garden, so it was kind of fun to actually have that show up there. And it is also definitely evidence that we've got a lot of hornworms on the tomato trellis. I will show you that in a minute. But now I'm gonna go ahead and take out the eggplants. So there are tons and tons of ants on them. And as I got a closer look when I was coming in to remove them, I did notice that they weren't really producing any more fruit. So whatever damage the ants were doing, I think they were maybe going after aphids that were living on the eggplants. I'm not entirely sure, but they'd started to actually damage the eggplants themselves, and there really was no new fruit setting, and the plants were starting to look kind of bad. So I had to be really careful and just kind of gingerly try to remove all of the eggplants. And as hard as it is, it's probably a good thing. So I just cut them off at the base first because I didn't want to get covered in any of the ants, and then just tried to pull them out carefully and just put them in a pile, and then I can put them into my compost bag. And I'm just checking to make sure that I didn't miss anything, move back all of the zinnias, which luckily I had a stake in there, so the zinnias were able to be contained, and I think they're going to still be able to stand upright even though the structure of the eggplants is removed. It seems like they are doing pretty well. So then I just pulled out a couple weeds too, and I realized that I was starting to make a little bit of a mess out here in the garden. So then I did a really quick little sweep up and just got everything swept, and then watered to make sure I watered. And so you can see that I got it all cleared out, and I did go ahead and pull out all of the roots of the eggplants, and then I just wanted to rake it up. It is a little wet because the sprinklers were on, but I felt like my raised beds have been getting a little bit compacted. I've usually just cut off the eggplants at the ground and let the roots decompose in the ground over the winter, just kind of like to add a little fertilizer. But I don't know, the last couple years I've done that, and it feels like the beds are getting a little compacted. So I just wanted to rake up the top like inch or so that when I plant my fall seedlings in there, they can just get rooted really easily. So this is the bed where I'm going to put in all of my seedlings in this bed, and the bed behind it I'll put in the bok choys and the kales and the things that I started in July. And I just have to decide when I want to plant all those things. I'm not quite ready to pull out the peppers. This whole next week it's going to be in the 90s up to 100 degrees Fahrenheit, so there's no point to pull out the peppers just yet because I don't want to put those little seedlings out in these temperatures. And I do need to kind of decide, there's still a few fruit getting set on the peppers, but it also doesn't quite seem like it's worth it. I do want to save some seeds from the mystery peppers, and I may let a couple go ahead and keep ripening. So I might leave even just one plant and let some of those peppers go ahead and ripen all the way to really, really red. Although the one I picked yesterday was pretty red. So I'll go inside and show you how I'm going to save the seeds from those peppers. We'll just see. I'm not rushing into any of the decisions. And I want to just show you the damage from the hornworms on the arch trellis. You can see that there's just like little stems. All the leaves have been eaten off it. There's starting to be a good bit of damage on this arch trellis. And there's also some dead growth, not a ton of disease, but a little bit of it is starting. And you can kind of see the plants were looking so great even just a few days ago, and now the decline is kind of starting all of a sudden. I'm noticing it. So we're just going to keep harvesting for as long as I can, maybe another couple weeks, and then eventually I am going to have to pull them out. And I'm trying to debate if I want to put peas on this arch trellis or not. A little bit of a hard decision, but I think I'm going to. All right, so we are back inside where it's a little cooler and a little quieter. About peas in the fall, I have tried for the last couple years to grow peas in the fall and had very bad luck. So I started some in like just direct sowed in probably September, maybe it was the end of September, October, and they did not they just kind of grew scraggly. They didn't really grow super well. And then last year I tried to start some, I think I even started them inside maybe, and then transplanted them out. And they also just didn't do very good. It was like kind of mixed results. I kind of want to give them one more shot. I'm gonna go through my seed collection and see if I can find some that are more of a heat tolerant pea, because there are some pea varieties that do a little bit better with heat since they'll be starting and germinating in warmer temperatures. My peas do so well when I plant them in February. I plant my peas outdoors, direct sow. Consistently, I plant them on Valentine's Day and they do beautifully. They grow, they're super, super happy. So I think it's just so hot here. But I'm thinking maybe if at the end of the month, if I try to just direct sow them right in there, right by the arch trellis, they get like still a little bit of shade from the fence and from the crepe myrtle tree overhead. And so maybe I would be able to get them to grow in the fall. I'm kind of like not quite ready to give up on it yet. It gets hard. You know, sometimes you just can't grow things. Like I've tried radishes in the fall and it's always been too warm for them, and I've kind of just given up on that. And there's things in the spring that like I just know like I can't really plant a broccoli in my spring. It won't have time and it'll bolt. So there may not be hope for peas for me in the fall, but I think I might give it one more go once the tomatoes are out. Typically in the past, I've put those accelerator row covers. If you see my garden last winter, I put big row covers on those true raised beds next to the arch trellis. This year, I'm gonna try to do the chicken wire cloches and a bunch of violas, just so I have something to look at. I really like my row covers. I think they're really, they're pretty as far as row covers go, but it's just fun to see the growing things. And I think now that I have the wire cloches, hopefully the squirrels won't be able to get under those. And so I'll be able to have a little bit more outdoor growing. So that's gonna be the plan for that. So without the row covers out there, it'll be easier maybe for the peas to grow as well. Fingers crossed. And maybe I can even start them under the cloche a little bit. Well, no, that wouldn't work because then I can't take the cloche off. I don't know, because we do also have to protect peas from squirrels, because in the fall, squirrels are digging around in everything. And of course, peas are like a yummy squirrel kind of snack. Definitely squirrel food, but I'll deal with that. I'm gonna keep thinking about that and probably try to do some peas. Now we're gonna try to save the pepper seeds. So let me grab my pepper. I only ate, I snacked on it a little bit and then I thought, you know, I wanna save the seeds, so I didn't wanna mess with it too much. So you do want, when you save seeds, I don't save a lot of seeds, I will say that, but I know that you do want to have a really ripe fruit, and that's why I'm thinking I might let a couple more really ripen. You kind of want to get to the point where the pepper is red and starting to get kind of soft, you know, it's fully ripe fruit. This is pretty, I mean, this is pretty red. There's just the tiniest bit of green left. It tastes pretty red, pretty ripe when I was eating it. So I think the seeds are, you know, basically ready. And so what I'm going to do is put them on just like on a plate. Grab one of my daughter's little plastic plates. You want to dry them on something like flat and dry like that, rather than a paper towel or something that can absorb moisture, because we want them to be like as dry as possible so they don't want to sprout. And I'm just going to pour them on here. And we're just going to do a bunch of them because why not? Now, if I plant these again next year, they are not a stable variety. I'm gonna need to keep growing them kind of in isolation. So I'm not sure, here they are. I'm not sure if they would actually, like, I plant so many peppers close together, I'm not sure I'd be able to like isolate my own variety. I'll have to think about if I can plant it like on a different corner of the garden and they wouldn't cross-pollinate. I'm gonna have to look into that a bit more. But I think it'd be kind of fun, since I have this mystery pepper and it was pretty yummy, to like, you know, make my own mystery pepper, grow it, let it adapt to my environment. It's so cool when you save seeds, because the plants do start to adapt more and more to your specific climate. It's just kind of neat. So we're gonna play around with this. I think the only other seeds that I've ever tried to save, oops, I almost spilled that. I'm gonna put that down. my gosh. The only other seeds that I tried to save were some dahlia seeds, and I didn't have success. They were from like a hybrid dahlia that I got at the garden center, so I don't know if those seeds were even viable. And yeah, they didn't work. So we'll try again with the peppers. I think peppers are supposed to be pretty easy to save. So what I'm gonna do is leave these here. I'm gonna make a little, just get a little plastic bag. And I'm just gonna write like mystery pepper and the date. Mystery pepper, September, because as much as I think I'm gonna remember everything, it's amazing how quickly you forget labeling. So I'm gonna put this just underneath it, and then where I dry all my herbs and anything like this is on top of my refrigerator. It's warm, it's dry up there. I know that my cats and my toddlers can't get to it, and that's where I do all of my herb drying, all of my like drying like that. I actually just harvested a bunch of lemon balm and dried it up there and stored it away for lemon balm tea. Last year I really stored a ton of herbs, and this year I've been doing it too. And I just have like mason jars with all my different herbs, and I just pull them off, wash them, put them on a flat surface, or I also have like some little, you know, like the cookie drying trays that have a little wire mesh, and I just dry everything on top of the refrigerator, and it works great. So if you don't have a designated food drying space, try the top of your refrigerator. Just put it up there, push it back so I can still open the doors. There we go. So I'm gonna let them sit up there for about a week, I'd say. So I'm filming this on Tuesday. So next Tuesday, I will come and grab them and then put them in their little bag. I'll stick that, got the bag here, I'll stick that over there with them, and then just put it in with my seeds, and we'll try it in the spring. So stay tuned. We will see if we can get the mystery peppers to grow and see what they produce. Thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.